So after a while of drawing out different designs for the guitar, I've decided on this one, which is a basic Les Paul design, but here is with like lightning. So for the wood for my guitar, I chose maple because it looks really good and it has a bright sound with a lot of sustain that will make playing jazz a lot easier. So now we've cut all our pieces off with the miter saw, and we've run them through on the table saw to make the edges a little smoother. And now we're going to put the ones that need to be a little more smooth through the joiner, and the other ones are ready to get put together. Pretty good. So now that we have all the boards cut to the proper widths and we've smoothed out the sides, we're going to glue them together now to get the body of the guitar. So now that we've glued all the three bottom pieces for the guitar, it's all just getting clamped and drying. However, we did not get this perfectly, so these two edges are a little higher than this, but that will be taken off when we sand it. See, with our mess of clamps, we've clamped the boards together, and I've drawn my design for just the outside cut for the body. So now we're just gonna take the clamps off and see how it turned out. So now we've got our last clamp here to take off, and we're all done with our gluing. So now we're at the hard part where I'm most likely to mess up, which is all the cutting and routing and everything. So here we have our boards glued together. The actual guitar itself won't be that thick. That would be pretty thick. I mean, it could be, but we probably won't make it that thick. Here we have the design, the outside lines all drawn out. So yes, and I have 2 lines to mark where the neck will go. So, yeah. So here we've got all our parts, and we've drawn the design we want on the wood. So now we're just going to start to cut it out with the jigsaw. I'm covered in sawdust now, but we've barely done anything. Okay, it's kind of looking like a guitar now. We've got all the cuts. Now we just have hours and hours of sanding. So we're using the random orbital sander to get this edge down to where we want it to be. final sanding of the edges to get them all nice and smooth before we go on to sanding the top and bottom and routing the spaces for the parts. So now that we've cut out the way we want the body and we've cut out the contours, I'm just going over the edge with a 1/4 inch round over bit to round out the edges. So we're making a template now of the neck pocket, and so we're going to use this bad table saw that's worse than the other table saw to cut it in half so we can clamp the boards because they're too short to clamp there. Yeah. So now we're going to route out the neck pocket, and this is one of the parts where I'm most likely to screw up. So this is kind of stressful. So now we have our body all cut out and sanded. We've put in the neck pocket, and on the neck we've measured to the 12th fret and measured the same distance to where we're going to put the bridge. So now I'm just going to drill a hole. We're going to start small and then go bigger where the bridge is going to go. Perfectly straight. Dad. Oh, that was not the center. That's alright, okay. So now we've attached the truss rod cover and I'm putting in the tuning machines. And here we've drilled the holes for the bridge, so it's really coming along. But now I'm just putting in the tuners. So now we have drilled the 2 holes for the bridge, and we have just one more thickness for the tailpiece, and we have assembled the neck entirely. We have our tuners and the truss rod cover. And so now when we get this, then we'll just double check that everything's all lined up, and then we'll go from there. So now I'm making a template for the pickups, which will produce the sound they catch the vibrations of the string and send the sound to the amplifier. So far we've put together the neck, drilled the holes for the bridge and tailpiece, routed out the spaces for the pickups, which are the neatest, but that's okay, and routed out the neck pocket, which also isn't the neatest, but that's also okay. And now we're going to route out the control cavity, which is where all the electronics, like knobs, switch, and the input jack will be. So far, we've routed these things, which we've already told you about, and we just drilled the volume controls, the input jack, the jack controls left, and the switch space, and then we started drilling out this area for the control cavity, where we'll have those electronics in there. And out the body and everything's all cut out. So we're gonna stain it. I've chosen a yin yang for the design. So we have our blue stain here, and we're just gonna So now that we have the control cavity all routed out and we've used 3/8 inch rabbiting bit to go over the top for the cover plate, we drew an outline on some tape by putting some tape over it and drawing around it. And so now I'm just using the random orbital to get pretty close to the line we drew. And then I'm gonna hand sand it down to exactly perfect. Okay, so I kind of just, while I was sanding, knocked over the whole entire can of blue wood stain. So good news is that we already stained the body and that none of it got on my clothes. But some of it did get on my feet. And I didn't know this, so I was walking in the house and I tracked blue wood stain all over the wood floors. So then I had to clean myself off, and it turns out I'm not very good at using a garden hose. So now we're gonna just get everything off the table for sanding now. So now the body is all stained and we've put the protective clear coat on. So we're gonna start installing the hardware, and yeah. Alright, so we've put it all together and now we're gonna plug it in and see if it works or not. It might not work. Okay, so now we're gonna try to plug it in again, and this time I have the right cord. Okay, now it might work because we have the right cord this time. Hey, it works.